Jai Hind, this is Colonel N.K. Sharma, the veteran from Team MLF. What you saw just now was few brave men and women of our country who have chosen to look beyond the ordinary horizon and to go to any extreme in defending our motherland, even at the cost of making the supreme sacrifice of their lives. I remember the famous quote, यूं तो पल की जिंदगानी में ऐशो आराम काफ़ी हैं, पर जुनून देशभक्ति को शहादत का पैगाम अभी बाकी है। लड़ने वाले तो धर्म, जाति, मजहब और ना जाने किन किन बातों पर लड़ते हैं, पर हम तो फौजी हैं साहब, लड़ते हैं तो बस देश की खातिर और बस एक यही सुकून काफ़ी है। Having said that, the battlefield is definitely a mean place, where life and death walk very closely hand in hand. It's a place where man and the machine in tandem let loose all the hell to annihilate the enemy. History has taught us that machines or the weapon system, they play an important and positive role in the outcome of any battle, or should I say, in the destiny of the nation. It shall be then our pleasure to take you all on a virtual tour of weapon system that exist in our armed forces today on our western border, namely the plains and the desert. For that, we have today an extremely experienced, distinguished veteran, Major General Prince Sandhu, Armed Corps officer who commanded an armored regiment and an army division. Independent Armored Brigade practically spent the glorious years with his men and machine. Post-retirement, General Sandhu worked as Deputy Director and Editor of USI of India. A thinking soldier, military writer, strategist and a thorough gentleman, General Prince Sandhu.
Today I am going to showcase the weapons and equipment which are currently in use with the Army on the western border and what may be the future requirements to make India increasingly self-reliant in the years to come. It will be stating the obvious that terrain has an overarching effect on the conduct of military operations. Apart from strategy and operational plans, it also determines the types of weapons and equipment that would be most suited for operations. For example, if it is riverine terrain like it was in erstwhile East Pakistan and now Bangladesh, then a light tank which is also amphibious would be required. Similarly, howitzers would be required in the mountainous terrain and field guns in the plains. Likewise, even for logistics, vehicles and equipment must be suited to the terrain. For instance, in desert terrain, equipment and vehicles should be able to operate under dusty conditions and be able to withstand temperatures going up to 50 degrees Celsius in the shade. So for the designers and innovators of military equipment, it is a challenge to meet the requirements of terrain. While the man behind the machine is important, but the machine itself is no less important to give an edge to the soldier, sailor and airman over his adversary. We have over 3,300 kilometers long land border with Pakistan, and that has varied types of terrain. There are high mountains north of the Panjal mountain range. Coming south, we have low hills, then the plains of Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab, which are interspersed by rivers and canals with many built-up areas which are densely populated. Further giving way to the semi-desert terrain of northern Rajasthan, the Thar Desert, and finally the run of Kutch, which remains inundated by seawater for half the year. The terrain across the border is by and large similar, at least up to considerable distance. Coming to infantry, which has been called the queen of the battlefield, and rightly so, as they are the ground-holding element of the army. The basic weapon of infantry is the rifle. It is a soldier's personal weapon and has to be carried at all times. Under operational conditions, a soldier even sleeps with the rifle by his side. It must be light, accurate, and robust. We all remember the .303 rifle, which continued to be used by the Indian Army even in 1962 war with China and for some years after that. It was a very accurate, lethal, and robust weapon, but did not have a burst fire capability, which was a major handicap. With a bayonet fixed, Indian soldiers used it very effectively in hand-to-hand combat, especially as a last resort after they ran out of ammunition. Other weapons of great importance to infantry are light and medium machine guns, mortars, and handheld anti-tank weapons. In the plains of Punjab, infantry has to often assault across the canals in face of the enemy, which is extremely hazardous. The expedients available for infantry for such an operation are non-existent or very primitive. This is an area which requires urgent attention of the innovators. Tank will continue to play a predominant role on our western borders. Firstly, it generates mobility on the battlefield, and secondly, takes the battle to enemy's hinterland where it hurts most. There are three categories of tanks, namely light, medium, and heavy. In Indian Army, as of now, we do not have a light tank in service, but the requirement for the same has existed all along. T-72 and T-90 tanks, which are the mainstay of our tank fleet, are medium tanks. Arjun, which is indigenous, is in the heavy category. There are problems connected with rail and road transportation of heavy tanks. To overcome the same, Arjun tanks are presently deployed in the deserts of Rajasthan. It is also true that a tank is most vulnerable to anti-tank weapons and aerial attacks by fighter aircraft, attack helicopters, and now armed drones, as was shown in the recent fighting between Azerbaijan and Armenia in Nagorno-Karabakh. In order to improve survivability of the tank on a future battlefield, there is an urgent requirement to equip tanks with self-actuating devices which will detect and neutralize oncoming missiles. The Russians have equipped their T-90 tanks with what is called the Shutura system, which has a 360 degrees radar and canister system all around the turret. The radar picks up an oncoming missile and the appropriate canister is automatically activated. Hundreds of pellets from the canister intercept the missile at a distance of around 50 meters or so. We did not buy this system, maybe because of the costs involved. Our DRDO, that is the Defense Research and Development Organization, would do well to go ahead and develop such a system for all our tanks in service, including Arjun. Similarly, anti-tank mine blast surviving capabilities of the tank also need to be improved in future designs. As of late, there is no better system. available to create mobility on the battlefield. Mechanized infantry normally operates with the tanks and the two complement each other on the battlefield. Infantry Combat Vehicle, ICV for short, is the main combat platform from which mechanized infantry operates in battle. It usually carries an infantry section and a crew of 3 members who man the ICV. As compared to a tank, it has very thin armor and is highly vulnerable to anti-tank weapons and mines. On an ICV becoming a casualty, the lives of the whole infantry section, that is 10 men, are endangered. The ICVs in service with us are BMP Mark I and Mark II. BMP 1 has a 73mm gun which also has a missile launcher. BMP 2, which is a later version of BMP 1, has a 20mm cannon as well as the capability to launch a second generation anti-tank missile. It is also an amphibious vehicle. Thus, it is a formidable and versatile weapon system from which mechanized infantry can fight even while remaining mounted. ICVs are also used in reconnaissance roles. Further, there are many variants of ICVs BMP-2 for other roles like command and control ICVs, ambulances, and even logistic vehicles. Field artillery plays an extremely important part in military operations in all types of terrain. There are different types and caliber of guns and howitzers which are employed in defensive and offensive operations. And this process by which fire support is provided is called a fire plan. There are field and medium guns which are brought to bear on the enemy at different stages of the battle. Then there is also the rocket artillery like Grad 21 and Smerch, which can cover a very wide area to pulverize the enemy. Artillery fire can also be used for illuminating the battlefield at night, as also for direction keeping by an attacking force. Artillery fire is never enough, more the better. However, the resupply of ammunition can pose a major challenge for logisticians. We need vehicles with good cross-country mobility, which can keep up with guns. In desert terrain, we need self-propelled artillery which can keep up with the tanks. Guns can also fire in direct firing role when their deployment area is threatened or is under direct attack, or there is a requirement to engage a target by direct fire, which cannot be engaged by other means, as was done quite frequently during the Kargil War in 1999 and with devastating effect. For ground forces to have freedom of maneuver, it is extremely important to have a favorable air situation. While fighter aircraft in air defense role ensure protection from the enemy air in the hinterland, in the tactical battle area, that is TBA for short, it is the air defense artillery which provides the requisite protection to ground forces from enemy air. In the plains of Punjab, towed guns can move and be deployed as part of the ground troops. But in the desert terrain, self-propelled air defense artillery is a must because they have to move as part of the mechanized forces and must have matching mobility. Then there is also a requirement to have a short-range air defense missiles to take on low-flying ground attack aircraft and attack helicopters, which pose a grave threat to the mechanized forces. Some examples of such weapon systems are which are in service with our army, Shilkas, Tungushkas, Strela 10M, Osa AK, and so on. Logistics play an important part in sustaining the momentum of advance during offensive operations. It is the logistics which determine the reach of the mechanized forces in the desert and semi-desert terrain. There is a requirement of high mobility vehicles, track laying expedients, water replenishment resources, replenishment of ammunition, fuel and lubricants, and a host of other warlike materials. All this is ensured through a complex supply chain managed by highly trained and responsive staff over the rearward lines of communication. This forms the tail of any force. There is a constant effort by the military commanders to have an efficient operational logistics system, but with an optimum teeth to tail ratio, not an easy task at the best of times. Needless to say, heavy mobility vehicles, tailor-made for specialist roles, play an ever-increasing role in maintaining the tempo of operations in all types of terrain. Artificial intelligence is the latest buzzword in transformation of any army, and so it is with the Indian Army. Artificial intelligence is set to become a part and parcel of almost every weapon platform in the battlefield of the future. Autonomous and remotely controlled weapon systems are already in use in some of the advanced countries. Our adversaries, especially China, is investing heavily in this field, and some of these technologies are bound to find way to our western neighbor, Pakistan. It is time that we too make this an area of prime investment and innovation. In the days to come, artificial intelligence is set to make its appearance in almost all spheres of military activity, right from an infantry soldier to tanks, infantry combat vehicles, artillery guns, air defense artillery, aviation, and so on. It is time that the Defense Research and Development Organization and the private defense equipment manufacturers take note of it and invest heavily for research and development in this field. Also, it requires an integrated and well-coordinated approach between the government agencies, the defense forces, universities, and private players engaged in development and manufacturing of defense equipment. Jai Hind.